Howdy YouTube, this is James. Welcome to my channel. It's pretty early now, so I'm pretty energetic, and I was just on YouTube and I was watching one of Zed Verism's videos, and he's one of the channels I'm subbed to. He's pretty small right now, but I think he has a lot of good things to say. And his channel is really about red pill Buddhism. People who have seen kind of the dark truth about a lot of things in human nature and society that we're not really supposed to talk about. But he's also a Buddhist. It really, for some people it's very counterintuitive, but to me it makes a lot of sense. And overall I love his videos. But there was one video where the things that he said stood out because he had kind of this, sorry, I don't mean to pick on you, Zed, but because everybody does this, I do this. There was this ego rationalization against, maybe not against, but certainly contrary to the teaching that he was talking about. And specifically, he was teaching about the three poisons, which are ignorance, desire, and aversion. And kind of the subtitle to aversion that he railed against a little was anger. And his rationalization, he mentioned anger briefly as an aversion, but then spent a good minute and a half talking about how anger is actually good and healthy, and people are just trying to stop anger in order to control people, that sort of thing. And watching as an outsider, it's pretty clear what's going on. Zed, you have an anger problem. You are attached to anger, and specifically, you are more attached to anger than you are to the desire for enlightenment. And I'm going to get into what I think that means pretty soon here, and or right away. And essentially, my perspective is, and this is kind of what I've picked up from Buddhism, but I don't know if it's ever spelled out quite this clearly. There are essentially four states with respect to enlightenment. There is total ignorance, which is to say you have no knowledge of enlightenment, you have no knowledge of the Dharma. And the second state is knowledge of the Dharma. You possess the knowledge that the Dharma exists, and you kind of know something about it, maybe. Or maybe you know a lot about it. And then the third state is the desire for the Dharma, the desire for enlightenment. And then the final state is the possession or experiencing of enlightenment, being enlightened. And in this particular case, in most areas, I would say, Zed, you are in stage 3, probably. Maybe you're even in stage 4 in some areas, I don't know. But I think in most cases, you are in a state of desiring enlightenment, and that's good. But, I say it's good. It's up to you. That's just where you are, according to, my perception, looking at you through your videos. Obviously, I say it's good. It's a personal choice, and it's one that I approve of. Like, I think it's good for people to do that. I don't think it's necessarily bad for people to not do that, but I definitely think it's good to desire enlightenment. And in this area, though, in the area of anger, it sounds like you're at stage 2. You have the teaching. The teaching says that anger is an obstacle to enlightenment. And you seem to want to justify anger more than you want to justify enlightenment. And it's a little telling about your thought processes. And I have this whole script here. Sorry, I'm trying to do it extemporaneously, but I do need to consult for a second. And I don't want to cut this video. I'd like to just blaze through while, just riding the wave of energy that I have. So hopefully this will be real quick. Yeah. So what's important to recognize is where this is coming from, this desire for anger, and why enlightenment is so weird and extraordinary, and how it actually is often in contrast with healthy, especially from a biological perspective. And what it comes down to is that this desire for anger, this desire to justify anger, comes from your ego. It comes from your ego seeing, or at least believing, that anger is effective. Anger gets the job done. Anger is healthy. Therefore, anger is justifiable and good. I don't necessarily disagree with any of that. I think anger has its upsides and its downsides. And one of those downsides is that it is an impediment to enlightenment. On the other hand, some of the upsides are that it can really help you get problems solved. So I'm not 100% against anger. I just want to say that anger is not enlightenment. And this actually feeds into a broader topic, because anger is one, it's almost controversial. Some people think that it isn't good, but there are plenty of other things that enlightenment is against, or that go against enlightenment, that are impediments to enlightenment, that we remain attached to, and which are healthy. And they kind of feed into the trap of existence in samsara, which is delusion, essentially. It's this material world, it's this, well, it's more like the state of existence as a sentient being, as far as I can tell. And what it comes down to is that in this world, we are beings that are a result of adaptive behaviors. And adaptive behaviors, could be said to be healthy. For now, we'll conflate those two. So a behavior which causes us to be effective at spreading our genes in the world, at gathering resources and so on, is healthy. If that is healthy, then if we accept that definition of healthy, then there are a lot of behaviors which are healthy, which are not for enlightenment. And in fact, enlightenment can be an impediment to health in the purely biological fitness sense. It very naturally is. And this actually also feeds into kind of why I have evolved from a very Theravada-esque perspective to a very Mahayana-esque perspective. And I need to consult my notes again. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so right away in Buddhism, we all know we're not enlightened. And that's fine. Buddhism accepts people where they are. It says, you're not enlightened. Okay, that's fine. Like, you're suffering. And you're not really to blame for that per se. You have the power to change it, but Buddhism isn't like trying to guilt trip you into changing or anything like that. It's about offering you the gift of potentially having enlightenment. And you don't have to accept it. There's no compulsion in these matters. So in conclusion, I want to say, we may be perfectly healthy individuals in an ordinary sense, but that doesn't mean that we are enlightened. And a behavior or an emotion might be perfectly healthy in an ordinary sense, but that doesn't mean that it is an enlightened behavior or emotion. I plan on doing more of these videos that are about headier topics, that are more like spirituality in the modern world, and kind of getting very deeply analytical into how we think and how we live. And most of them will be centered around Buddhist thought. So, if you're interested in that kind of thing, like and subscribe. I'm going to try to push out at least once a week a video like that, maybe twice a week. So, that's coming. Look forward to it.